If anybody in the Gospels, the person who had the hardest time with humility was in fact the one writing this letter. We don't see we don't see Peter being like a bastion, an ambassador, a prime representative of humility, right? He's stumbling, making all kinds of silly mistakes, saying and doing all the wrong things. If anything, his secret sin was just pride, right? His secret sin was just going way too far and not holding himself back. And in some ways, that's telling that he would be the one to tell us to humble ourselves, to clothe ourselves with humility. And the question I want to ask is, what in the world does humility have to do with freedom? How in the world is humbling ourselves make us more free? When I think of that, I think, doesn't that make me less free? Like, we're told freedom is going to the top. Freedom is seeking more power, more money, climbing the ladder, and you'll have more time, more money, more vacation. You'll be a lot more free than the guy who just started the company, right? You don't want to go down, you want to go up. As usual, our Bibles are very counterintuitive and say, you want to be free? You want to experience the real freedom that you were made for, that your living soul was designed for? Then humble yourself. So we need to explore that connection. How in the world can those two things go together? Friends, they go together like hand in glove. But we have to define humility first. This is where if you haven't seen my study, I love books, and I got a lot of books, and I had them all up on my shelf, and now they're back all on the floor because I'm trying to organize them because I got them all unboxed. And this is the part of sermon prep I really love. I go, humility, let's do a deep dive. Let's get into all the books. Let's look at, let's do a word study and look at how Peter alone uses humility. And let's define humility. This is a book called Kittle for Bible scholars out there. This is most of the important words in the Bible that are defined in the ancient world and then in our day and throughout history. And this is Little Kittle. There's several more volumes. There's 12 volumes of Little Kittle, and say, let's look up humility and find out what it means. And so I do this deep dive because I want to be able to come up here and tell you something really impressive, as a student of Scripture and with lots of books on my shelves and a couple of degrees behind, on the wall. And I really want to tell my church family, my family and friends, something that'll just knock their socks off and be like, wow, he's so smart. Let me tell you how powerful this word is. It's so rich and complex and nuanced. You know what this word means? It means low. It means low. And there's nuances to it, right? It can be used of people that are poor. They're humble, not just humble in spirit, but humble in means. They don't have any much, right? The woman that put her 2 pence in the temple treasury, she was low. People that are downcast are low. But it doesn't just have to do with the economics of the situation. It can just be somebody who's low in the workplace. They don't have a whole lot of power. They don't have a whole lot of influence. They don't know people in high places. They're low, right? They don't know anybody in the top. They don't have a special delegate that they can put their hat in the ring and say, well, I'll vote for you because I got somebody. They're low. They're humble. Peter's saying, you want freedom? Don't go high. Go low. Now, the thing that's fascinating to me about this is not just how simple the definition. In fact, I had to chuckle, and I may have, our staff, I don't know if Neil heard it or Lori heard it, but I had to chuckle in my study because I think part of this study was for me to be humbled. It just means low. Is that enough for you, Marcus? For it to just mean low? The thing that's fascinating to me about this is not just the definition, though, but it's the voice. What do I mean by voice? Notice how Peter uses this word. In language, there's 3 different voices, right? There's active voice. Do we have any literature people? Any teachers in the house, retired teachers? There's middle voice, and there's passive voice. And throughout Scripture, this word is never used actively, meaning our task as Christians is never to make somebody else go low. That's where humility, right? That's when it goes really dark and goes bad. That's when humility becomes humiliation. This word is never used in the Bible actively, like, I will make you go low. The only voice that this word is used, this humble little 3-letter word, is used is middle and passive voice, which means this is something we either do to ourselves, middle voice, where I make myself go low and I participate in the outcome of that process, or somebody else makes me low. Now here's the sobering part, friends. If you and I don't do this, Scripture's pretty clear. It will be done for us or to us. That's a sobering thought. If we don't humble ourselves, one day we will be humbled.